Yo, bro, it's today we're gonna get a little bit more random. You know what I'm saying? Get a little more natural. I'm gonna just talk for a little bit, and the main thing I want to talk about is blackness, etc. So, basically, we're gonna talk about darkness. You gotta talk about who the physics. If we're gonna talk about darkness, we gotta talk about the physics of light and energy and photons and shit, right? But basically, we all know that, like, you know how shadows work. Basically, you stared at a ray of light. The ray of light can't get past you. You cast a shadow. We all know how like a pinhole works. I hold my hands together like this. It's gonna be dark on the inside. Like, you feel me? And etc. etc. Like the behavior of darkness in physics is something that's like not at all very well understood in like colloquial everyday common thought and phrases. Like in physics they throw around the term like dark radiation to certain people, because darkness, like a shadow, like is a form of radiation. It's a negative perturbance of mean luminance, which means it's like increasing in order. It's a structure of light increasing in order, etc., etc. Like the image or appearance of darkness. Maxwell Planck, in study of cavity radiation, he was trying to describe the behavior of photons in a container, and that's what he did. And that's the behavior that we describe as darkness. You know what I'm saying? Photons in a container. So, like, light move at the speed of light. Like, if I make my hands like this and it's dark on the inside, it's not because light can't get in there. Like, light moves at the speed of light. It's more active than air. You feel me? Like, just like there's air in my hands, there's light in my hands. But the light in the container bounces around along the surface of the inner surface of the container and starts to scatter. And so Max Planck discovered it really doesn't matter like what the container is made of as long as it's dark on the inside. A container that's like 100% reflective on the inside would be something called a gray body, because it doesn't have a situation where darkness can exist. And from study of the behavior of light in a container, Max Planck developed the Planck unit of measurement, a scale, and the theory that energy radiates in the form of energy quanta. And some other details I'm leaving out, of course, but this is a study of cavity radiation, which brought about the idea of a black body, a perfect black body radiation as a term for heat, as all particles exhibit black body radiation. And that's where you get the quantum theory from. And Albert Einstein studying quantum theory to develop uh, the description of the photon and the theory of relativity, and further strengthening quantum theory as we know it now. You know what I'm saying? A few people, excuse me. There's a lot of women get real busy in nuclear physics and particle physics and atomic physics and stuff like that. But a lot of people between him and Stephen Hawking, Stephen Hawking, the one we know, dropping all the stuff that like is the source for a lot of the quantum terminology getting thrown around right now in the modern day. But yeah, like the study of blackness is what gets us to this latter point where like the word quantum is what got people saying that science and spirituality is meeting up. Like that understanding comes from the study of blackness, like literally in real life, the study of blackness. So colloquially speaking, when we speak about blackness as the absence of light, it's literally in physics the exact opposite of that. A blackness is an object or a region of space that absorbs 100% of the oncoming radiation that comes in contact with it. So if you absorb something, it's not like non-existent no more. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So the absorption of energy does not destroy energy. It transmutes and transforms it to a new form. And darkness is the form of photons in thermal equilibrium. Uh, the material of space-time is freaking like photons in thermal equilibrium. Like we get into the definition of blackness, you get into like the definition of like space and ether. Ether coming from the Latin aether, meaning something that's like a burnt black. That's why I call ether like the finest fire. Aether is black, implying like burnt and heat. And negir is black, like a non-shiny black, or like a shiny black, I guess. Is the difference between those. What's shiny, like reflective black, and what's like a burnt black is like two opposites. You feel me? Things that are burnt usually aren't also reflective unless you polish them. But yeah, so this is what's going on. You know what I'm saying? This is the understanding like of the universe. We get into it specifically. Like, there's reasons why people see blackness as the opposite of what it really is. It's not all a conspiracy. Like, that's natural too, which a lot of people don't want to talk about. Like nyctophobia, anti-blackness. There's a natural element to that. You know what I'm saying? But it comes from some unnatural happening first, and then having a natural, logical human mind. You feel me? Like, if you think blackness is the absence of light, then you believe in death. You don't believe in the laws of conservation and mass and energy. You don't believe in the laws of thermodynamics. If you believe blackness is the absence of light, you don't believe in the laws of vision. That's why your iris is a pinhole. What I talked about, all the whole picture you see smashed together just looks like a little black dot, because then that's why your eye looks like that. That's why, like, if you're blind or something, where you have damage in your eye, the back of your eye, usually your iris doesn't appear black because it's not taking in all that light. So yeah, if black was the absence of light, like, nobody with a black iris, everyone with a black iris would be blind. You feel me? And blind people everybody who had vision would have a white iris, and everybody who's blind would have a black iris. You feel me? But it's not the case. It's literally the opposite, because the physics of light are the opposite, and people who don't personally identify with black see it as the opposite due to like some natural brain chemistry shit. Like, it's entirely natural. It's not even that deep or complicated. I wrote like a thing, like I have like a whole map for like my personal understanding of blackness and shit, and how I've connected those thoughts and trying to get the true nature of energetic reality, which is like the definition of blackness, trying to like affirm that on every level of perception. That's like the whole point. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. The definition of blackness is like the definition of existence, and also the definition of like awareness or consciousness. Like, these three things are the same thing. And so we started off with the whole letters thing, because like you gotta get into the etymology of blackness to see all these words are describing like a process, and the process that they're describing is black body radiation, and black body radiation is like the metaphorical process of like energy dynamics that like uh that is like the symbolic thing that language is based off of. That's like Ra, like the Ra hieroglyph or whatever. Like, specifically, like the dot, the little circle, like, and the emanation has to do with redshift, like the way the way languages develop words for color follows like the process of black body radiation and redshift, and then the behavior, the primary colors of light coming after that, etc., etc. Because the primary colors of art are red, yellow, and blue, but the primary colors of light are magenta, green, and cyan, and which is a kind of blue. Magenta's like violet or whatever. So yeah, like, that's why we get into, so we can get into like certain Moorish paradigms where like black means bleach, like to make white, and then get into like the specific letter meanings, and then understand the black body radiation. You understand, to be a perfect emitter, to radiate white light, you must also be a perfect absorber. Every absorber is an emitter. Like, that's a singular process. That's opposing perspectives on a singular process. Absorption and emission is one process, and the difference between the two is the perspective of the observer. So like, the sun is like 96% perfectly black. All white objects that are glowing, you can calculate how black they are, their energy retention, the density of their energy by calculating based on how hot they are and the luminance of their white glow. You feel me? And then you can refract that white light to get all the colors of the rainbow. So like through blackness, boom, all black bodies constantly radiate. That's like existence is absorption and radiation are singular or dual process. You feel me? Uh, and so that's why you can see black stuff as opposed to it being transparent. You feel me? Like blackness is not invisible, but yeah. So like yeah, man, blackness is like the primacy of light and primacy of color and boo 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 boo. All right, so I forgot to say, like the actual definition of black body radiation is that black objects are constantly radiating photons based on their heat. You feel me? Based on the heat of themselves as a total system, that black body is constantly radiating based on the heat of its system. And it would have to be at like 0 degrees Kelvin for it to not radiate at all. So all black objects are constantly radiating. That's why they are visual. That's why you can see them because light has to enter your eye. Dark radiation is a form of radiation, and then once that black body heats up to a certain point, it experiences redshift, which is the answer to cavity radiation. Like what happens? Why do ovens glow when you heat them up? That was the study. That was the experimental study that Max Planck was studying. Why do ovens glow when they are heated? And that the answer to that was the description of the behavior of light in a container, which is a black body, something that contains light. To contain means to hold together. All right, but now back to the regular narrative. Like understanding understanding letters and stuff, then we can get into etymology. Understanding etymology, you can get like an emotional connection to blackness. It'll start growing, and then when you hear about the science and the process of black body radiation, you can relate it to all these words in your language. And you discover, oh, that's how significant this process is. This process is described in words like black, bleak, bleach, block, also flash, flesh, uh, oblique, place, pluck. All of these words is the singular word and it's a formula, vloshk, and it's all over the earth. You feel me? Bracken, like water. Uh, so yeah, man. This and the connotations against blackness, like it's just not the case, bro. It's not the case, bro. Like any man-made situation created that causes an associated blackness to be harmful means to change that situation, not to dissociate from blackness. Like all particles exhibit black body radiation. Black body radiation is heat. Like the bare minimum definition for a particle is a transverse wave. Basically, we talk about subatomic particles because they, you know what I'm saying. And the bare definition for a proton is two up quarks and a down quark. So that's basically a few subatomic particles. Atomic is just a unit of measurement. It's mean like a piece of an atom, but I mean like elementary particles, as in like the they're not made of other particles. Those are things like electrons. I believe like quarks, gluons, and leptons might be elementary particles, and like uh, photon like as a concept is like elementary particles, so to speak. Like those are all photons. Like they're forms of photons. All elementary particles are forms of photons, like electrons, etc. Positrons, etc. Yeah, goes like spinning together in like a solar system, creating a singular particle when viewed as a whole. That's boom, like, and that's awareness, like taking in energy and information, transmuting it, and that transmutation, the result of that is your perception as a consciousness. Like, this is real serious. This shit is real important. You know what I'm saying? Everything is based on that. Like, that's the universe we live in. Like, that's why the dissociation from that is why. And there's like the specific, the nature of blackness, the definition of blackness gives into explaining the nature of it and why it behaves the way it behaves, and then why we as humans have the reaction to it that we have. Yeah. So Om has meaning and it's extra black. Thanks for watching and listening. Follow, like, share, and subscribe. And Yeah.